Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 20th of February, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar index. We look at currencies first, then stock markets, where we ended up last week, commodities, and last of all, some tech stocks. And we start with the dollar index, and we see that it is just deteriorating again slightly. We're below the clouds, so just not managing to hold on to the gains. We did activate this target, 102.60 last week or two, but we're just pulling back to the support and really rebuilding on the support level here on the point and figure chart. Not showing up the same way on the cloud chart, but interestingly, we still are above the trend here. So remembering this is my long term, my medium term, and my short term charts. Dollar is just looking a little weak at the moment, and that's translating to the euro looking stronger. We're back above the cloud. We did hit as high as 106.75. We pulled back to 106 this morning, and we're just building some strength there. So short-term euro strength, but boy oh boy, long-term and medium-term euro still looks very, very vulnerable. And conversely, we're hitting support resistance on this chart. Looking at the Japanese yen, dollar weakness showing up here as well. Just the last few days coming back from that high, but we did activate the target. We pulled back quite dramatically. This will give us another downside target once this column is locked. The question then will be, will we go lower or will we go higher? And if we activate that downside target and then move lower than this level, that target comes off the chart. If we look at sterling euro, we see here that sterling has just still maintained a little bit more bearishness, so the strength is actually in the euro reaction at the moment. Looking at sterling dollar, we're seeing here that we are actually just coming back above the cloud. Still not really convincingly got through the cloud on the daily chart. Still bearish, medium and long term. A couple of new upside targets, downside target not activated. This is like a triangle pattern that's showing up. That's a squeeze that's going on in the chart. When we break, we'll break either way. So that would be quite interesting. Looking at sterling Swiss just as a proxy, we see here a little bit of a recovery, but it has been weaker over recent days. And looking at the Australian dollar, we were as low as 161.50. We're just back to 162.50, but again, this chart looking pretty bearish for the sterling. US stock market, we're at 2351 now. Once we got through that 2300 level, we just ran 50 points pretty quickly. We see last week's candle there, really significant on the chart. And really that's the jump out of that sideways consolidation. All upside targets, a new upside target activated on Friday, 5% upside to 2468. So the US market just looking bullish in every direction. We're seeing that in NASDAQ, long-term, medium-term and short-term, just that continuous uptrend really quite clear. People are worried about this when it all looks so good, but the reality is the charts just do look great at the moment. The Dow would just went a little bit sideways the last few days, but again, nothing to worry about, and really at the moment all looking pretty bullish. Russell 2000 much the same, and we're seeing the S&P futures up 0.3% this morning, Nasdaq up slightly. So it does look like the run might continue this week. Looking at the FTSE 100. We see we're bullish above the cloud on all three time frames. New upside target to 7554 activated. That's 3.5% upside. 8% upside on the medium term and 12 to 24% upside on the long term. So really still pretty bullish. The 250 again, just messing with the cloud here a little bit, but finding support on the cloud. Long-term targets still look pretty good, as do the medium-term targets. DAX is bullish above all three time frames. And has opened higher again this morning, so that's looking good. The Nikkei barely changed overnight, but still bullish above the cloud on all three time frames. Shanghai was up over 1%. We're starting to see how it's just found that support on the cloud. A really big move there, and we're just breaking to new highs here. Starting to come out of the cloud here on the long-term chart, and that's really quite encouraging. China now looking better. Hang Seng is through the cloud on the long-term chart now, so this is also looking good. The one worry for global markets really was China, and it's looking better by the day. Sensex, the Indian market, again breaking to new highs, up 0.4% overnight, looking bullish on all three time frames. And the Australian index just down very, very slightly, but bullish on all three time frames. So we're seeing stock markets just globally looking really good. Brent crude is up 0.66% this morning, so 2/3% up, and we are back above the cloud. we've been in this real range just waiting for the break. We see that really just showing up on the weekly chart. But if we break this 57.50 level convincingly for a day or two, then we could run into the 60s quite quickly. We look at WTI, much the same picture, back above the cloud. Nat gas is in the doldrums, down at 277, really clearly below the cloud on the daily. So just not looking good short and medium term. Gold has been teetering with these. Well, it was in the 120s last week. It's now in the 130s, just gradually getting there. Price getting back above the cloud. We might hit some resistance here, but it's looking pretty good actually. We've got a upside target of 12.59, so that's another $24, and this will give us a new upside target, this chart as well. So the fact that we're seeing new thrust coming all the time is pretty good news. And we look at silver, it's looking bullish above the cloud as well. It's already through on its daily cloud, so silver tends to lead gold a little bit, so that's quite encouraging for precious metals. Taking a look at the Treasury yield, dropped back a little bit last week from that 2.5% level to 2.41 on the Treasury yield. So just coming back slightly at the moment. We've got a couple of new downside targets, but we've got an upside target to 275 as well. Apple just keeps marching up the hill. We've still got another 10% upside here on the short-term chart, and it's just really just motoring, having broken to new highs. Google, again, bullish on all three time frames, as is Amazon, as is Facebook. We're just pausing for breath last week on Facebook, but we have a couple of short-term upside targets, 5% from here, and still the medium and long-term picture looks great. Looking at Microsoft, bullish above the cloud on all three time frames. Some new short-term upside targets, nothing spectacular, a few percent, but looking good. And Nvidia, just still hanging below the cloud here. Downside target reached, which is kind of bearish confirmation, but we can see on this chart that we need to pull back below these previous levels. We still do have an uptrend as such, in that we're not making lower lows, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out this week. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.